Were you a wrestling fan growing up?
I would say in my teenage years is when I really started getting into it and watching it and seeing what, pro wrestling was all about. Others, professional sports, you had to have a coach. You had to act a certain way. You look towards pro wrestling and you got to be flamboyant. You could be unique. You could be your own character. It wasn't really a team sport. It was an individual sport, and pretty much anything went. The more outrageous or unique you were, the better off you were. And I just started taking interest in it and said, hey, it's a pretty cool job.
Where'd you grow up at? What state?
I was born in Chicago, Illinois, and I lived there for 12 years, and my dad was in sales, so throughout my life, I've really moved around continuously since then.
Cool.
Various states. We went from Illinois, and then we went to Florida, and from Florida, went to New Jersey, and New Jersey to Minnesota, and Minnesota, and went back to Florida, and I stayed down there for 27 years, and then I moved to North Carolina, where I'm currently living now.
Did you go play any college sports? Did you go to college at all or anything like that?
I went to a community college, but no, never any collegiate sports, no.
Right. Was it always in the back of your head that one day you wanted to be a pro wrestler, or how did that come all about?
I started weight training when I was 19 years old, because most of my whole life I was, really skinny, and it's like, hey, I gotta get some size to me. And cocky and arrogant and had an attitude. It's like, I better start training. So I started training, getting big, well, bigger, from what I was. And by the time I was 19, I was about 197 pounds, good shape, and continued training till I was, throughout the years. But when I was 23 years old, I was in Minneapolis, and I had met Hulk Hogan in the gym. He had just come to the AWA. And like I said, I had been watching it on TV and then talking to him and seeing what he did. And it intrigued me and say, hey, sometimes I really might want to start doing this and getting into this. So that's when I truly took an interest in it and started training for it.
What was Hogan like back then when you first met him?
He was a really cool guy. He was a good friend. He was doing the Japan thing. Come back from a flight, he'd give me a ring, everyone back in town, and we'd hook up. We'd go out. He'd tell me about, life on the road and how things were going over in Japan. And he had just finished Rocky III. So it's right before the tidal wave hit,
right,
is when I knew him. But, his career was just skyrocketing then, and it was exciting to be around him and watch what was going on and how he was doing it. And then he was working for Verne. He was doing well there. He's doing very well there. But he said that he was talking to New York again because he had been with Vince Sr. working for him and left. And then he said, yeah, I started talking to Vince, Vinny Mac now, Vince, and I might be going up there. And I said, wow, that's way cool. And so I was training, and we went to the gym when he was in town. We were pumping iron, and he was, showing me things and telling me things, and it's just, man, I'd really like to do this. He never was discouraging, but he wasn't encouraging either. He said, bro, brother, like Hogan talks, this is a tough business. It's a hard business to get a break in, and even if you do get a break in it, you're not necessarily going to do well. There's a lot of traveling. There's a lot of, you get hurt. It's up to you, It's a time and a break. There's guys who try to make a career out of this their whole life and never do well. And there's guys who get a break and do fantastic. It's... So that's how he was pretty much with me, talking to me. Then he set me up. I kept being persistent about it, and he said, well, you're going to have to get in great shape, do this, exercises and type of conditioning I would need to be in. And Brad Rangans was up there too. I'd been speaking with him. Rick Martel was up there, and they would tell me things that are going on. And Verne had his territory, and AWA was doing well at that time. And he said, well, you want to... I kept bugging him about it. Verne's got a camp up there in Minnesota. He says it's tough. So I said, okay. I trained for 3 months straight. I mean, conditioning and exercises, the push-ups, the free squats, the Japanese routine. Just I was in great shape. But there's a but.
Huh.
I went out to Verne's place for a tryout, and just doing my ex. Brad was there. Brad Rangens and Greg Gagne. They had another guy there who was training, who'd been there for a while, and then they had another college shooter there on there. So the first 2 hours, exercise. I mean, doing everything to physically wear you out. Okay, made it through that part about it. Then you had to start wrestling with Brad Rangens, who's an Olympic, close to a gold medalist. I mean, because they boycotted the Olympics with Russia that year. And then you had Greg Gagne, and then you had the new guy who was there who'd been training, and then you had the college shooter. So they take 3 minutes a piece, beating the hell out of you, stretching you, submission wrestling. I mean, after 2 hours of wrestling, then getting on the mat, it was, I was taking a pounding. And Verne came out and said something to him, and they just kept fighting with me. Not fighting, but wrestling, until I was totally exhausted. My knees were buckling, my legs were gone. I was, just out of steam, which is what he told me. He said, run him into the mat because I really don't feel like training him. He's not what I'm looking for. So that was their way of making you quit.
Right.
And, I said, I had to tap out on that one. Said, I can't take no more. Legs are gone. I'm just going to get hurt. You break something or whatever. So I saw Brad, I don't know, probably a week later, and said, Mike, you did great. You did better than most guys. Verne just wasn't interested in you, right at that time. It wasn't anything you did. It was just, he's the boss. So I said, okay, I didn't get discouraged. I just encouraged. Kept training, and then decided to go down to Florida, maybe start working some of the independents. Or I hooked up. I left Minnesota.
What year is this around?
1982.
Okay.
Okay, we're back about 82, and I went down to Florida and hooked up with some of the local wrestlers down there. There's a friend of mine, Rusty Brooks,
Okay.
who gave me a good start, and he had a ring in his backyard, and he trained other guys. So Ricky Santana was also there. Another friend of mine who just passed, Jimmy Young, Joe Murdo, and myself. We trained down there every day religiously in the ring. We practicing, we watched videos, really got into it, and it was going well. You learn moves, correct, do it like this, and we helped each other rather than just beating the hell out of you trying to get rid of you. They taught you that, and you improved your techniques, and you'd watch the video cameras or something, you'd see how something looked, and I don't like this, or I do like this, or try something a different way, and work on your character, whatever your character was going to be. At that time, I had no idea what my character was going to be. We got to come up with some kind of name for you. So I said, okay, I just made up R.T. Reynolds.
Right.
Like a pack of cigarettes, not that I smoke, but R.J. Reynolds, R.T. Reynolds, a jobber name.
Right. Well, I guess that when you were training, what was the hardest thing for you to pick up?
Andre the Giant.
Yeah.
Which I never did. I did get Big John Studd off his feet one time.
Wow.
He's a man who never could, the true giant of professional wrestling, as he used to say.
Watch thousands of exclusive shoot interviews right now on TitleMatchNetwork.com.